All right, my friends, when you're ready, come on down to the mat. Take your time. Get comfortable. Lay it on down, nice and easy. I use a blanket right underneath my hips for a little extra cushion. And you can use a pillow underneath the knees if you'd like. Sometimes it's helpful. And you can use, it doesn't have to be a yoga pillow. It can be, for the longest time, I used one of my couch decorative pillows that's a little bit stiffer. But if you have pillows or blankets, whatever you'd like to use, get comfortable here. Nice and gently lay it on down. And just settle in for a few moments. And take your time. And just start to think about the breath. Take a load off, right? Hey, Annette. Oh, I'm glad you're here, my friend. I'm glad you made it. Yep, that's Kittles. All right, we got deep stretch coming on up. Glad you made it live. Glad you're here. Now I won't feel like I'm talking to myself. All right, make sure those legs are out nice and long. Of course, if it's more comfortable to have the knees bent, you can have those knees bent if you need to. And just have the strap nearby, your pillows, blankets, anything that you like to use, just have those nearby. Arms down at your sides, nice and long. And just start to settle into your mat here. Get comfortable. Do what you need to do to get comfortable. Use those blankets or towels. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle those legs maybe side to side. Just let them fall. Let those feet fall out naturally. We're just going to take our time. We'll start to get into, kind of warm up the body a little bit before we get into any deep stretches. So please just be mindful with the stretching, any posture or poses that we get into. Just take your time. There's no forcing of stretches. We do a lot of breathing just to help relax the body into those positions, to help the muscles and the connective tissue start to relax and release. Maybe it feels good to sigh out the mouth a couple times. It's Friday night. After a long week, I love to practice deep stretch or yin yoga or anything very restorative. I love to practice that at the end of the week. All right. If you do like to set an intention for your classes, you're more than welcome to set an intention. Just a focal point for your practice. It can be a short little prayer. It could be maybe one word. It can be just something personal that you're working on or working through. Whatever that is for you. Couple more breaths here. Just check in with the body. Notice how the feet feel. Notice how the legs feel. And work your mind up those legs, noticing the knees, noticing the thighs, top and bottom, the inner thighs, the outer. Noticing the glutes, noticing the hips. Noticing the belly, noticing that lower back, and then taking that mind's eye up the spine all the way into those shoulders. Relax those shoulders, noticing the arms, elbows, wrists, hands, and each finger. Bringing the mind's eye back up those arms into those shoulders once again. Noticing the chest, the neck. Noticing the jaw. Maybe you open the mouth slightly. Relax the jaw. You can even sway it side to side, forward and back. Release any facial tension here. Relax the eyes behind the eyelids. Release that tongue from the roof of the mouth. Just settle in. Noticing your breath here. Starting to breathe a little bit slower. And starting to exhale a little bit longer than your inhale. So you'll notice throughout class, I'll remind you to breathe. Nice deep breaths. So you want those deep breaths to be at least a 3 count in and a 3 count out at the very least, if not longer. So nice, slow, and controlled breathing today. All right, my friends, when you're ready, let's inhale those arms up overhead for a nice, big, good evening stretch. Reaching those arms up overhead, reaching those legs. And then exhale, bring those arms down to your sides and bring those feet to the mat, nice and easy. And then take those feet nice and wide as the mat approximately, and hammock sway side to side. Good. And remember, if ever there's a stretch or a posture that doesn't feel good to you, you don't have to do it. You can always come into a different stretch if you need to, or just relax until we move on to the next stretch, okay? All right, let's bring those knees into that chest. Give yourself a nice big hug. Now you can hold on to the thighs, keeping those shoulders on the ground, neck nice and long, or if you can reach the shins comfortably and still keep the neck long and shoulders relaxed, you can reach for the shins. You're actively squeezing those knees in, feeling that pinching sensation in the hips. And then option, if you'd like, you can just rock nice and easy side to side if that feels good. Just kind of massaging the sacrum. Good. Continuing to breathe. And then come back to center, and then hold those knees together at the thighs and create some circles on the ceiling with those knees. Just about maybe 6 to 10 inches or so. And you'll go about 3 or 4 times and then go ahead and switch directions. Again, massaging the sacrum. We'll start to warm up those hips a little bit. And then give yourself that nice big hug one more time. Option to release that forehead towards the knees if you'd like. Allowing the back of the spine, back of the neck to open. And then gently lay that head back down. Make sure that neck is nice and long. Hug it out, rock side to side. All right, so option 2, roll back and forth on the spine here, taking the hands behind the knees creases, separating the knees about 2 or 3 fist distance, and you can gently start to rock forward and back on the spine. Now, that's only if it feels good to you. If you have any spine issues and that just doesn't feel good to you, you don't have to. You can actually meet us in that seated position, just rolling to the side into a fetal position and gently roll yourself up. So either way, meeting me in a simple seated position, okay? Now, simple seated is going to be crisscross applesauce. If that is ever uncomfortable, you can always take the legs out long. Option 2, sometimes it's comfortable for people to put like a rolled up blanket underneath the hips to kind of lift those hips up a little bit. So you can absolutely do that as well. So make sure you're comfortable here. Seated nice and tall, hands on the shins, and we're going to do some seated cow-cats here. So we're going to inhale, scoop the head forward and up, and then exhale, cat back. So you're going to bow the head, tuck the chin, rounding out those shoulders. Good. Inhale, scoop it forward and up, and exhale, cat back. One more time. Inhale, forward. And exhale, cat back. Good job. Nice and tall. Nice and tall. Good job. Inhale. Let's take those arms up overhead. And nice and safely coming into a side bend here. You can take one hand to the floor. The other arm will reach up and over. Making sure the hips stay on the ground here. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, reach over. Good. Really lengthening in between those, all the way from the fingertips down to that hip. Good. One more time. Inhale up and exhale over. Good. Inhale up. Exhale. Just bring those hands down through to heart center and go ahead and crisscross. Switch those crisscross legs if you have them crisscrossed. Cross-criss, if you will. Hands on the shin. Let's do a couple of cow-cats. Inhale. Scoop it forward and up. And exhale, cat back. Inhale, cat. Inhale, head up. Exhale, cat back. Good. Coming back to that neutral seated position, nice and tall. Coming into those side bends again. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, side bend, reach. And you can reach that hand that's on the mat. You can start to reach that hand out farther if that feels good. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, lengthen. Good. One more time each side. And of course, you can move slower here if you need to hold it for a little bit longer. Absolutely. Inhale up. Definitely respect your body. You might need to move a little bit slower than I do today. Inhale up. Exhale, hands down through to heart center. Beautiful job. Coming into a tabletop position when you're ready. So you can just roll forward, or if you need to adjust and kind of come to the side, that's fine. So knees are underneath the hips, the bony part of the hips. So we want a little bit of space, about 2 fist distance between those knees and those feet, okay? Hands come on up, wrists underneath the shoulders, fingertips spread nice and wide. Nice strong tabletop. Don't let the back arch here. Bring the belly button in, nice and strong tabletop. Pushing through the tops of those feet and those fingertips. Now, inhale, let the belly fall. So the tailbone will lift, and then the crown of the head can lift. Coming into our traditional cow-cats. Exhale, start to tuck the tailbone, reaching that belly button towards the spine. Tuck the chin in slightly. So nice and slow here. Inhale, scoop the head up, tailbone up, let the belly fall. Really articulating the spine. So take your time. You can go as slow as you'd like here. Into your cat back. And really connect your breath to your movement. Inhaling up. And exhale, cat back. Good job. Coming back into that tabletop. Toes together. Let's all start in a wide-legged child's pose. So toes together, knees apart, send the hips back. Fingertips stay spread nice and wide. And the elbows, so an active child's pose here. So the elbows are up. You're actively pressing into those fingertips and those suction cups for hands. And then rest the head on the floor or the mat. Now, if the head cannot reach the floor comfortably, we can use a block here or a rolled up towel or blanket and rest the head. We hold that head up all day long, so don't hold it up here. Nice deep breaths, actively pushing into those hands, pressing those hips back towards those heels. And maybe you start to shimmy those hips a little bit, side to side. Feeling that pinching sensation in the hips again. Breathe. Maybe you rock that forehead side to side. Give that forehead a nice little massage this evening. All right, on your next exhale, let's walk those hands over to the right. Hands can touch or stack, whichever feels best to you. We're still actively pressing here. So we're active. The hands go to the right, then we're pressing that left hip slightly back. And then let's make sure to rest the head comfortably and breathe. One more deep breath. And nice and safely come back to center. Inhale at the center, and then exhale over to the left. Hands touch or stack, actively pressing that opposite hip back, and rest the head. Breathe. One more deep breath. And nice and safely come back to center. And then gently come on up into that tabletop. Adjust those knees and those table legs if you need to, okay? Go ahead and give me one cow-cat. Inhale, scoop it up. And exhale, cat back. Good job. Come back to neutral. All right, let's go ahead and come into our hip circles here. So hips will go back towards one heel, over to the other, up and around. About 3 or 4 times. You make those circles as big as you'd like, and then switch directions. Just listen to those hips. Make sure you got cushion under the knees if you need it. And then when you're done, come back to neutral, and then we're going to come into our hip sways. So we're going to allow the hips to sway to one side, And then take the eye gaze to the opposite ankle. So we're getting a nice little outer hip stretch here. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, sway those hips over to the other side. Eye gaze to the opposite ankle. Inhale, center. Exhale, hip sway. Good. Now take your time here. Again, connecting your breath to your movement. But if you're feeling really tight in those outer hips, maybe you hold for another breath cycle and then continue on. So listen to your body. Some positions you might feel like you need a little bit more in that area. So feel free. You have the freedom to choose what you need here, of course. You are the best guide for you tonight. When you're done, make sure you're nice and even. Come back to center. Good. And give me one cow-cat. Inhale, scoop it up. And exhale, cat back. Good job. All right. Now, from here, now that we got those hips nice and warmed up, let's come into a kneeling position. We're going to come into our deep runner's lunge here, okay? So take your time. Again, cushion under those knees. We're going to bring that, bring one foot forward. I forgot Facebook Live mirrors me, so this will be my left foot to you guys, okay? So left foot forward. We're going to take those hands to the top of the thigh, and we're gently going to press those hips forward. Now, don't be afraid of the knee going past the toes here. As long as that heel stays down, we'll get a nice little stretch in that ankle too. And just make sure that the hips stay facing forward and they don't open up on you, okay? So hips forward, deep runner's lunge, nice and easy. Cushion under that back knee. You also have the option to deepen. You can actually come to the toes and lift up a little bit and see if that feels good to you. If it's too much, just come right back down. Good. Gently release the hips back. Now, toes are going to go towards you, coming into half splits or a single hamstring stretch here. Now, hands will go to the sides for balance. Thinking about that heart space towards the toes. Option for pillows or blocks here for elevation. Sometimes we might kind of feel like we're going to lose our balance. So if we have those blocks, they can kind of sturdy us a little bit, okay? So enjoying that hamstring stretch, spine nice and long, heart to the toes. Good. Gently releasing those toes back down. Let's come into that deep runner's lunge one more time. Hands to the thigh and gently press forward. Take your time here. Breathe. Now, to deepen this stretch, another option here, release a little bit, and we can walk that foot out to the knife's edge to the edge of the mat, okay? This is just an option for you, okay? You got to listen to your body and do what feels best. Bringing those hands to the inside of that front foot on the mat, and then roll to that knife's edge of that foot, okay? Listen to your body, adjust what you need to, and just allowing that hip to open out to the side. I'm going to turn to the front just so you can see here. So that front foot is to the outer edge, and you just gently roll to that knife's edge so that hip slightly opens. Now, if you still want more here, you can gently start to lay those hands and those forearms down to the mat. Or maybe you can't quite go down to the floor, but you have a pillow nearby. Maybe you just kind of start to gradually get a little bit lower. So nice deep breath, settle in. One more nice deep breath here. Wherever you are, even if you're just up here with that deep runner's lunge still, that's fine. One more deep breath, and then nice and gently, if you did come down all the way to those forearms, safely come up. Bring that foot back to the mat, walk it back to center, and then send the hips back into that half splits, toes towards you. Good. Now, if you practice splits, you're more than welcome to here. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to lift, you can frame yourself. You can use the blocks here to help. You're going to tuck the back toes and lift the hips. This is where you start, right? You start to walk that back foot back, walk that front foot forward. Now, it depends on, be very safe here. My mat is super sticky, so I got really good grip here. So be careful if you have a slippery mat, okay? Now, if you wanted to deepen this, but you're not quite sure, pillows and blocks come in super handy to kind of give you some elevation. Take your time here. Enjoy the hamstring stretch. If you want to try splits, you can always try splits. You can put the pillow on that back foot, the back thigh, and start to walk it forward. You never know unless you try, okay? Now, some will also bring that pillow. Just be very, very careful here. Take your time. I'm just giving you options so that way when you do re-watch this and do it again, you have some options, okay? So from here, you can use that pillow maybe underneath that front thigh and then start to walk that back thigh out. And maybe you find that space where you're comfortable. You can feel the opening happening. You just stay here and breathe. One more deep breath. Wherever you are, nice and safely, walk that foot back. My mat's super sticky. It's a very grippy mat. Nice and safely, come on out of it and come back to your kneeling position, okay? Take your time. Maybe you sit down for a moment. If you did try splits, it might have taken the breath out of you. Come back to your breath. Come back to your intention if you set an intention. For some of us, that can be a little bit difficult if you did try splits, okay? So take your time. Now, when you're ready, come on up into that kneeling position and we'll go with that right foot forward, okay? Now, try to do the same things that you did on the other side, okay? Hands to that thigh and gently hinge forward. Press forward with those hips. Nice deep breaths. I forgot to turn my temperature down on my AC. It's nice, warm, deep stretch today, which is good. One more deep breath. And gently send the hips back, toe up. Sorry, I'm going to grab my blocks here. So toe up, coming into your half split, heart towards the toes, okay? Now, some of us, you might be able to go all the way down to the floor, right? And think about that hamstring stretch right here. That's fine, but don't lose the integrity of the stretch of the hamstring, okay? So I usually stay up a little bit higher here and just think about that heart towards the toes. One more deep breath, and then nice and gently place those toes down. Deep runner's lunge one more time. Now, if you stayed here, you stay here. If you wanted the deepen option, we'll start to walk that foot out towards the edge of the mat. Bring those hands to the inside of that front foot on the mat and start to roll that foot out towards the knife's edge, okay? Take your time. Let that hip gently roll out. Again, if it's not for you, that's fine. You just stay up in that deep runner's lunge. If you want to deepen it further, we'll come down onto those forearms. Maybe you use those blocks or pillows, anything that can help elevate if you want to gradually get down to the floor, okay? Take your time. Find where you need to be and breathe. Nice deep breaths in and out the nose, at least a couple of breaths. Remember, we also have the option to tuck the toes and lift that back knee. That will also deepen the stretch a little bit. It changes that stretch, and every body is different. So find what feels good to you. One more deep breath wherever you are. If you went to those forearms, gently come back up. Take your time. Roll that foot back to the knife's edge. Walk those hands back. Bring that foot back. Coming back into your kneeling position. Feel free to just sit. Whew. Good job. I think we have to do splits again. Did I forget splits? I totally forgot splits, didn't I? Shame on me. All right, so we're not done yet. Come back into that modified lunge. Send the hips back, coming into that hamstring. Now, option to come into that. Got to give you the option for the splits, don't I? So, option to tuck the toes, lift the knee up, and then start to walk those feet apart. Take your time, and then use those pillows if you need to, okay? So come into your splits or just stay in that hamstring stretch. Take your time. Find what feels good to you, okay? All right. And maybe you use 2 pillows or 3 or 4, whatever you need. And then just start to sit and make sure those hips are facing forward. Nice deep breaths. Good. At least one more deep breath. Wherever you are, and then gently start to come up. Take your time. So those are just options. That way you can gradually progress. Those 2 stretches, the deep runner's lunge and the hamstring stretch, will help you get into that splits if ever. Maybe that's a challenge for you. Maybe that's something that you want to do in your life, right? And you haven't gotten there. Maybe it's something you focus on. All right, my friends, come on down into that tabletop position. Give me 1 cow-cat. Inhale, scoop it up. And exhale, cat back. Let's reset here. Toes together. Now, coming into our child's pose, we can have the knees apart like we did earlier, or you can have knees together. Change it up if you'd like. But if it's more comfortable to have the knees apart, take the knees apart. It's fine. Head rests on the floor, or maybe you grab a pillow or a block. Nice deep breaths. Come back to your breath. Come back to your intention. Just breathe. Noticing the hips, noticing the legs. Breathe. Good. One more deep breath. And nice and safely come on up. Beautiful job. All right, let's give that lower body a little break, shall we? Let's work on that upper body for a moment. From your tabletop, I want you to flip those fingertips out towards the outer edges of the mat and just nice and easy sway side to side. Starting to work on those wrists and the forearms. Option to deepen. Bring the hands closer together. Just make sure that the wrists stay, that the palms stay on the mat here, okay? Good. Couple of times. Now, option to deepen this a little bit more, you can bring those fingertips towards the thighs and gently start to sit the hips back here, getting into those forearms a little bit deeper. So either way, if that's too much, you just stay right here and side to side. A couple more breaths here, wherever you're at. There's no right or wrong way, as long as it might feel a little uncomfortable, of course, in the stretch, but it should never, ever, ever feel painful. Wherever you are, one more deep breath. And then nice and safely release those fingers forward. Beautiful job. All right, we are going to walk ourselves forward onto our bellies, coming into a chest opener. So nice and safely, come on down onto the belly. And arms are going to be out into a T position here. Okay? So I'm going to move my pillow out of the way. Let's take the left cheek to the mat to start. Hopefully my microphone doesn't get too much of a problem. All right, so arms are out, T position. Laying on the belly, get comfortable here. Enjoy the little neck stretch. Breathe. Notice how it feels here in this position. Nice deep breath. All right, now, in your T position, what we're going to do, take your time here and listen to those shoulders, okay? So make sure we're going to actually lay on that left arm, okay? All right, so again, left cheek is on the mat. We're going to bring that right hand to the mat, just in front of the chest, and then gently press yourself up and over. Let me get my microphone out of the way. Oh, the things we do, yes. Nice and safely, you'll push yourself up and over on top of that left shoulder. So the shoulders stack, the hips stack, the knees stack. You can bend the legs, get comfortable with the legs. Bend the legs, they're stacked, everything's stacked. Get comfortable here, and then make sure the head is resting comfortably on the mat. Good. So that back arm is in that T position. You're feeling the front of the chest open, the front of the shoulder, and the bicep, okay? Now, you're in control here with that left hand. You can gently press into that hand, deepening that stretch, feeling that left shoulder go into the mat a little bit farther. You can also take that hand up and release it back behind you, reaching for that other arm. You can also wrap it around the lower back. So find where you want that right hand. And then lastly, if you want a little bit more, you can take that top leg back behind you for a little bit of a spinal twist here. Just if you want it, take your time. If that's not for you, just keep the legs stacked and be comfortable. We just want to think about the chest space being open and feeling that opening happening in the front of the chest and down the arm into that bicep. Good job. One more deep breath. If you took that top arm behind you, bring it back to center. Gently untwist. Bring that leg back and gently untwist. Take your time. Coming back to the mat. Adjust what you need to. Now we're going to take that right cheek to the mat. Okay, make sure I don't go out of the frame here. Okay, right cheek to the mat, T position, nice and easy. Enjoy the neck stretch here for a moment. Good. Maybe you bend the knees here. Give yourself a couple of nice little windshield wipers side to side. Good. And then gently release those legs down. All right, so again, the right cheek is on the mat. Let's take that left hand to the mat in front of the chest. and push yourself up and over on top of that back arm. So get comfortable here. Stack the hips, stack the legs, stack the shoulders, and then rest the head. Good. That arm that you're on top of is lengthening. And you're using that left hand to push into the mat, deepening the stretch if you need. Or you reach back behind, reaching for that arm. Or you can wrap it around that lower back. Nice and easy. Find what feels good to you. You can always keep it on the mat if needed, okay? Wherever it feels best to you. Make sure you're comfortable. And then once you're done with that arm, let's take that top leg back behind, coming into a nice little spinal twist here. Breathe. Nice deep breaths. 2 more deep breaths. 1 more deep breath. And if you took that arm behind you, gently bring it back to the front, nice and safely untwist. Coming back to center, take your time, framing that chest and pushing yourself up and back. Coming into your child's pose. Toes together, knees can be together or apart. Send those hips back and rest the head. Option to sip water here if you need to, if you're a little thirsty. All right, 1 more deep breath. And gently come on up. We're going to thread that needle. We're going to work on the back now. We worked on the front part. Now let's work on the back part, okay? All right, so from your tabletop, let's go ahead and do 1 cow-cat. Inhale, scoop it up. Exhale, cat back. Good. All right, neutral tabletop. Let's take that left palm underneath the nose. Inhale, right arm lifts. Little counter twist here. And then exhale, thread the needle through, taking the hand on the mat towards the top and resting the head on the mat. Sorry if I cued the wrong side. Either side is fine. That hand is lengthened, reaching towards the top of the mat. Or you can take that hand back behind you, reaching for that opposite back pocket. Find where it feels best to you. And then once you're settled, you can take that same side leg out to the side for a little inner thigh opener, only if you want to. So listen to your body. Nice deep breaths. Thinking about that shoulder blade that's closest to the floor. Good. 1 more deep breath. Nice and safely bring that hand back to the mat if you took it behind you. Bring that leg back in. On. Thread that needle. Come back to center and 1 cow-cat. Inhale, scoop it up. Exhale, cat back. Beautiful job. Back to neutral, and then we're going to take the other hand. I had cued the left hand, even though it probably looked like the right hand to you, but now I'm going to do the right hand on the mat underneath the nose. Inhale, left arm lifts, counter twist. Exhale, thread it through. So just make sure you're getting the opposite side. Walking that top hand towards the top of the mat. Rest the head on the floor, the side of the face. Take your time, settle in. Lengthening that arm that's above you. Or you can keep it right in front of the face and just gently press into that shoulder blade closest to the floor. Lastly, if you need to, you can take it back behind you, reaching for that back pocket. Now, once you're settled, if you took the leg out on the other side, you can take the leg out on this side, opening up that inner thigh. Nice deep breaths. 1 more deep breath. Good job. Bringing that hand, if you took it behind you, back to the mat. Take your time. Unthread that needle. Bring that leg back in. Come back into that tabletop. Give me 1 cow-cat. Inhale, scoop it up. And exhale, cat back. Good job. Child's pose 1 more time before we flip it over. Knees together or knees apart. Rest the head. And those toes are together. And freedom to move around in what feels good for you with your child's pose. If you have knees together, maybe take those arms back behind you, rounding out the shoulders. Maybe that feels good today. Or maybe, maybe you clasp your hands behind you and lift up the arms opening up the chest, rolling those shoulders back. Just a couple of options here. Do what feels good. Feel free to kind of move around a little bit, see what feels best to you. One more deep breath. And then when you're ready, nice and gently come on up into your tabletop, and then nice and safely we're going to sit it down to one side and just swoop those legs around out in front. All right, get comfortable here in your seat, legs out in front, and then let's go ahead and grab that strap that you have nearby. And again, you can use just a regular old belt or a towel, anything to help add length here. We are going to come into those hamstrings a little bit and the calves, okay? All right, so seated nice and tall. Got to move the booty flesh out of the way a little bit so you can root down on those sits bones. You can. Nice and tall. Grab that strap. And we're going to come into basically a single hamstring and seated tree, okay? So bring one foot in. Either side is fine. And let's take that strap around the ball of the foot. If you have a towel, you can wrap it around the entire foot if you need to. Basically going to try to get a little calf stretch here. So we're going to gently pull on that strap or that towel, pulling those toes towards you. Nice deep breaths. Pushing the heel forward. Nice and tall. Good. Gently release. And then pull again. Pushing the heel forward. Pulling the toes towards you. So the strap again is around the ball of the foot, which is just the base, right at the base of the toes. Good. Gently release, and then we'll do that one more time. And gently pull, pressing the heel forward, toes towards you. Good job. Beautiful. Now you can keep the strap there. I usually take it down to the arch of the foot to come into the hamstrings just so it's more centered. Inhale nice and tall, shoulders down and back. Now the luxury of having that strap, we can actually get length here, but still keep the shoulders down and back, okay? So the spine is nice and long. Inhale, and then exhale, hinge forward at the hips. So the heart goes towards the toes. So notice this hamstring stretch feels a little bit different than the one where we were up on our knee, yes? Every position kind of feels a little bit different versus hamstring stretches you can get in these two positions that we've done. Plus you can do it standing and or seated from a chair, and all of them feel just a little bit different. Inhale nice and tall. Exhale, hinge forward. Again, keep the spine nice and long here, shoulders down and back. We'll round it out here in just a moment. Inhale, nice and tall. Last time. Exhale, hinge forward. Now, holding here. Inhale. And then exhale, go ahead and release the strap. Bow the head. Taking the eye gaze towards the leg. Envision yourself folding in half. So if you release the strap and reach those arms as far forward as you can, maybe you hold on to the foot, maybe you don't. Just depends on where you're at. Nice deep breaths here. Now, if you can reach the foot comfortably, maybe you need extra length here. If you need extra length, you can add a block or a rolled up towel or blanket at the bottom of the foot for some length. Pressing the heel forward still. Relax the thigh a little bit, tailbone back. Breathe. Trying to get as close to that leg as you can. Envision yourself folding in half over that leg. One more deep breath. Exhale, go to your furthest extension. And then nice and gently roll it on up. Head is last to rise. Beautiful job. Switch sides. Nice and easy. Seated tree. And then that strap or towel is going to go around the ball of the foot, so just below the toes. Heel out, nice and tall, and we're gently going to pull those toes towards you. Heel pushed away. Good, nice and tall. Breathe, feeling that lengthening happening behind the bottom portion of the leg. And gently release a little bit. And then go ahead and pull again. Nice and easy. You never want to force the stretch. It's just a nice, easy tug. You find where you feel that little uncomfortableness in the stretch, and you hold there. You don't go to where you feel pain. One more time, gently release, and then exhale, pull. Good. And gently release, taking that strap to the arch, coming into our hamstring stretches. All right, inhale nice and tall. Exhale, hinge forward, heart towards the toes. Inhale, nice and tall. Exhale, hinge. Inhale, tall last time. Exhale, hinge and hold. Inhale again, and then exhale, release the strap, release those hands forward, reaching as far forward as you can. Maybe you can reach the foot. Maybe you need extra length. Maybe you use that block or a rolled up towel or blanket. Nice deep breaths. If you can't reach the foot, it's okay. You're still lengthening, envisioning yourself folding in half over that leg. Breathe, listen to the body. Notice where you create tension. If it's behind the leg, or maybe it's in the lower back somewhere, maybe the glutes. One more deep breath. Inhale. Exhale, go to your furthest extension. And then gently roll it on up. Take your time. Whew, beautiful job. Take that strap with you. Take those legs out in front, and then we're going to lay it on down, okay? Get my mic out of the way. So you're going to lay it on down nice and safely, of course. And then I want you to take that strap on the arches of those feet. Take your time, lay it down. Strap goes to the arches of those feet, and take those feet to the sky. Okay? Take your time here. Settle in. Now, we're going to press those heels to the ceiling, straightening those legs the best we can, okay? Now, your legs might not be perfectly straight, and that's okay. Press the heels up. A little micro bend in the knees. You don't want them locked, okay? So you don't want them totally locked. Should always have a micro bend. Now, gently pulling those toes up towards the crown of the head. Breathe. Now, I don't want you to pull up and bend the knees, okay? I want you to keep the legs as straight as you can. Now, maybe your legs aren't perfectly straight yet. You're still pushing the heels up, and you feel that stretch just fine. Stay there. Breathe. But if you are straight in the legs, gently pull the toes up towards the crown of the head, keeping the legs in that same position. Breathe. Now, from here, we're going to release that left foot down to the mat. Good, bent position. Straps are going to go into that right hand. Okay, so again, left foot is on the floor, knee is bent, strap is in the right hand, strap is around the right foot. Gently pull those toes up towards the crown of the head one more time. Now, inhale, and then exhale, nice and safely start to open up that leg out to the side. Now, take that left hand on top of that left hip. Let's make sure that that hip stays on the ground. Okay, so if you open up and that leg and that hip comes up off the ground, you've gone too far. Keep those hips grounded and open up that leg as far as you can. Now, listen to your body here. If you feel like it's just a bit too much and you need some support here, place a block or a pillow underneath that thigh. And then you can still gently pull upward on those toes, okay? So get comfortable. And then once you're settled with that leg, you're still actively pulling upward on those toes, okay? Now, option to take that left leg out nice and long along the mat. See if that changes anything up for you. It may or may not. If it's too much or uncomfortable, just bring that foot right back to the mat. Take your time, breathe. One more deep breath. Nice and safely, we're going to bring that foot, that right foot, back up to the sky, switching the strap to the left hand. Now, take that right hand to the hip, hold it there, okay? Hold that hip. Let's keep those hips grounded for just a moment. Inhale, still pulling upward on that strap. Exhale, take it across the body, only until that left hip, that right hip wants to come up off the ground. Still pulling upwards, so the leg just crosses the center line of the body. Breathe. One more deep breath. Nice and gently come back to center and bring both feet up into the strap. Good job. And heels up, straighten those legs, and gently pull those toes up towards the crown of the head. Good job. Hold here for a couple of breaths. I'm just going to flip around because I have a wall in my way, so I'm going to flip around so that way I don't kick the wall. All right. Still breathing. And when you're ready, nice and safely release that right foot down to the mat. Strap will go into that left hand or towel, whatever you're using. Press that heel up and pull those toes up towards the crown of the head. Let's take that right hand to the hip, to that right hip. Keep the hip on the ground. Inhale, and then exhale. Open up out to the left. Take your time. There we go. Now again, remember, you can have that pillow. I have all these pillows everywhere, but they're all just out of arm's reach. Have a pillow there if you need to for some support underneath that thigh if needed. Still pulling upward on that strap. Take your time. Once you're settled with that leg, then you can take that right leg out nice and long along the mat. Nice deep breaths. Breathe. Notice where the body creates tension here and breathe into that space, relaxing that space. Remember that that foot can come back, the right leg can come back to the mat if you need to, if it's too much to have it out long. One more deep breath. Nice and safely bring that left leg back up, switching that strap to the right hand. Still gently pulling upward on those toes. Inhale, and then exhale. You're just going to go across the center line of the body to where you feel it down that leg, all the way into that glute, maybe even into that lower back. Keep that left hip on the ground. Breathe, still pulling upward on those toes. One more deep breath. And then nice and safely come back to center. Take both feet up into that strap one more time. Legs up strong, straight, and then gently pull those toes up towards the crown of the head if you choose. And just go as far as you can comfortably. Stretching can be a little bit uncomfortable, but never ever painful. Take your time. Breathe. Good job. One more deep breath. Nice and safely release the strap. And just set it to your side. Keep the feet up. Feet up, arms up, little reversal of blood flow here. Give yourself some ankle and wrist rotations. Both directions. Point and flex. Maybe some fists and release. Maybe you work on stretching out those toes. Spread out those yogi toes. Try to move one toe at a time. Our poor little feet are in shoes all day long sometimes. So it's good to stretch out those toes. Good job. All right, inhale. And then exhale nice and slowly. Lower those feet down to the mat. Arms down to your sides. Take those feet wide and hammock sway side to side. Nice and easy. And let's hold that hammock sway to the left and settle in. Breathe. And then option to take that left foot on top of that right thigh for extra if you want more here. Nice deep breaths. One more deep breath. And gently release the cross of the ankle. If you crossed it, hammock sway a couple of times, side to side. And then we'll hold that hammock sway to the right this time. Settle in. And then we can take that right ankle on top of the left thigh if you want a little bit more here. Nice deep breaths. One more deep breath. And nice and safely uncross that ankle, hammock sway side to side. Good job. Bringing those knees into that chest, my friends, nice and easy. Give yourself a nice big hug. You can hold on to the thighs or the shins, whichever feels best to you. Feel free to rock side to side, coming into our spinal twists here. So nice and safely, let's keep that left knee in. Take the right leg out nice and long along the mat. And we'll take that right hand to the outside of that bent thigh and bring that bent thigh across the body. Nice and easy. Take your time. And then you can take that left arm out into a T position. Eye gaze follows. Now, while you're looking at that left arm, I want you to look at the shoulder. Is the shoulder on the ground? If it's not, I want you to gently untwist to where that shoulder is grounded and then hold the twist. Okay? Nice deep breaths. Relax the glutes. Relax that lower back. Breathe into those tense spaces. Allow it to relax. One more deep breath. Nice and safely come back to center. Take your time. Come back into your ball. Hug it out. Good job. You can rock side to side if you'd like. And we'll come into our spinal twist on the other side. So keeping that right knee in, left leg out nice and long along the mat. We'll take that left hand to the outside of that bent thigh and then bring that bent thigh across the body. Good. Right arm out, T position. Eye gaze to the right. And take a look at that shoulder. Let's make sure that that shoulder is on the ground. Breathe. Relax the glutes. Relax the lower back. Good. One more deep breath. And nice and safely take your time. Come back to center and come back into your ball. Hug it out. Option to release that forehead towards the knees. Notice if your ball got a little smaller since the beginning of class. And then gently relax that head back down. Neck is nice and long. Good. Hug those knees in still. Nice deep breaths. Good job. All right, we're going to come into happy baby, my friends. Knees out towards the shoulders. Flex feet towards the sky. Now, you can pull down on the thighs, ankles, or feet. But let's make sure that the neck and shoulders stay relaxed, okay? From here, you're more than welcome to rock side to side. Nice deep breaths. Good. One more deep breath. Now, option, you can stay in happy baby, but if you would like to go into a straight-legged stretch here, you can take the legs out straight. You can hold on to the big toes with those peace fingers, or if you can't quite reach the feet, you can hold on to the legs. Straighten the legs. You can open and rock here as well. So just an option. But if that's not for you, you can just stay in happy baby for a couple more breaths here. Good, nice deep breaths. If you went into that straight-legged stretch, nice and safely come back to your happy baby. Good. And nice and gently release those feet down to the mat, feet and knees together. And then let those knees fall out to the sides. Bottoms of the feet come together. Now, notice the hips here. Make sure they're even. And if you feel like the hips need a little bit more love, maybe they need a little bit more opening, you can take one of those pillows or blocks and place it underneath where the feet meet to allow for a deeper opening to happen. So that's just an option. Well, let's say your hips are really tight still. You can actually take those pillows or blocks and place them underneath the thighs for some support, okay? So lots of options. Pillows, blocks, whatever you have, find what feels best to you and hold there, okay? So get comfortable with the bottom half. And then once the bottom half is settled, let's take those arms up overhead and then bend those elbows 90 degrees, coming into scarecrow arms or field goal arms, and allow that chest space to open. Now notice if the back of the hands are on the floor. If the back of the hands touch the floor just fine, maybe you need a deeper chest opener here. So option to take a pillow or block or even a rolled up blanket or towel and place it underneath. We're going to be here for a little bit, so get comfortable, okay? Take your time. I'm going to use a bigger pillow here for my chest opener, if it lets me. All right, sometimes it takes a little bit to get comfortable, and that's okay. I want you to be comfortable. So feet together, knees open, and then start to allow the heart space to open. So in this case, I have a lot more elevation here. My arms are not going to touch the ground, but it really allows that chest space and that connective tissue between the chest and the underarms and the shoulders to really open. So give it a try. Nice deep breaths, get settled. Make sure you're comfortable here. We're going to be here for a few breaths, okay? Just allowing those hips to open, the chest and heart space to open. Nice deep breaths. Relax the face. Release that tongue from the roof of the mouth. Maybe you even open up the jaw here a little bit. You can stretch out the jaw, open up the mouth, stick the tongue out. Maybe you scrunch up the face and release, scrunch up the face and release. Just releasing any facial tension here. Nice deep breaths. Wherever you feel tension, you're breathing into that space. Allowing that exhale to be a little bit longer than your inhale. Relax the eyes behind the eyelids. All right, my friends. You are more than welcome to stay here longer. But when you are ready to come out of it, nice and safely, bring those arms down to your sides. You can use those hands to help lift those knees back up together. Remove any blocks, pillows. Coming into your final resting pose, okay? So whatever that looks like for you. If you want to lay it out nice and long, again, you can stay right where you are. Or maybe you place that pillow underneath those legs. Maybe you get that blanket out and then get that blankie. We got the last few moments here of class, okay? Just for some stillness. Get comfortable here. Lay it down. Make sure the neck and shoulders are relaxed. Arms down at your sides. And just breathe. Take a few moments here just to practice stillness in the body and in the mind, keeping the mind clear, focusing on your breath or your intention that you set today. Just be, just breathe, relax each time you exhale, sinking into that mat a little bit deeper each time. Letting go of any unnecessary tension. Just a few more breaths here. Gently bringing your mind back to the body, starting to wiggle the fingers and the toes. But of course, you can stay here longer if you'd like. But when you are ready to come out of it, gently start to make those movements a little bit bigger, rotating those ankles and those wrists, removing any blocks or pillows out of your way. Maybe you do a nice big good evening stretch again, eventually just making your way into a fetal position on your favorite side. Take your time. Resting the head on the arm underneath you and hug those knees into that chest. Breathe. When you're ready, absolutely no rush, gently press yourself up into a simple seated position. Eyes closed if you can for a moment, seated tall, hands on the shins. Noticing how you feel. From here, hands on the shins. Let's do one seated cow-cat with the eyes closed if you can. Inhale, bow the head forward, scoop the head up, and then raise up that crown of the head, opening up the throat and the heart space. And then exhale, bow the head, tuck the chin, round out that spine. Good. Come back to neutral. Seated nice and tall. Smile on that face. Inhale, arms up. Eye gaze up, slowly opening up those eyes, bringing light and love in. Bringing those hands together and down through to heart space, sealing our deep stretch practice together. Thank you guys for being here. Namaste. God bless you all.